Hello and welcome to TFTon2Wheels. As always, I am your host Mike. Today's topic, one-to-one. So one-to-one, or one-to-world, or every student has a device, or whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, this is still a topic that has to be brought up. And it's mostly because of school funding, that every school in America isn't putting some type of mobile learning device, my preference is Chromebook, into the hands of a student. Let's talk about a little bit about one-to-one and what that means. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about me as a classroom teacher and what one-to-one meant to my room. And I'll talk about a little bit as an administrator, as a tech director, what one-to-one means. So as a classroom teacher, what one-to-one meant to me was student ownership. It meant that the students could not only access resources beyond what I could offer them in my school, but it also meant they could create resources beyond what I could offer them in my school. And when my students created resources, that meant it was resources I could use with more students, other teachers. All of a sudden, we had 30 people in the classroom that were creating, not just me. One-to-one also meant that I had to change what I taught as a classroom teacher, because digital citizenship, or digital ethics, as my friend Darren would say, is not just something that happens. Okay? Our students in the physical world need help knowing how to make right and wrong decisions, because there's gray areas, and there's gray areas online too. It's not just a matter of this or that. There's always going to be a gray area. So I had to learn what that means, because no one taught me that. So I had to become the student. Darren, and I'll put a link to his website, loves to use the word or the phrase persistent kindness, which I absolutely love, because I think that persistent kindness is such a simple term, but it's such a great building block to always fall back on when you're talking about what you're doing online. And are you being persistently kind? It took me years to develop the way that I set my classroom up and the way Garth set his classroom up, so that we could allow our kids to be online and not worry about managing them, not worrying about being mom and dad, and worry about learning and teaching like we wanted to. So that's what one-to-one meant to me as a teacher. It also, by the way, meant teaching from the back of the classroom so you guys could see the screens of my students. Now, as a technology director, one-to-one to me means something a little different, poses a different kind of challenge, because my challenge now is working with teachers, most of which didn't grow up with tech, never had tech when they were in school, and getting them to a point of comfort before I ever get to the point where I can help teachers be comfortable with student ownership. Two very different terms. The idea of getting kids on devices and being happy with that, and allowing kids the ownership to drive learning as a cognitive process. And it's a long-term goal. And the one thing that does change when you leave the classroom is your time frame of school. Now, I never really thought of school as 40-minute class sections or 1 year, or as report card periods, because I was always thinking about, what am I doing this year? How's it going to change next year? What can next year's students do with what I'm doing now? All those things were very, very relevant to me. So I had to think about those things often and decide what that was going to look like. Cost is also, I think, part of the decision making. I'm not going to lie, I know everyone hates to say that cost drives things, but it does, especially in a lot of districts where money is extremely tight and funding is getting less and less. I try to work very close with my curriculum director when it comes to things like textbook purchases and online software purchases, to make sure that our money's being spent in a way that is pushing our teachers towards that. We don't want to put our teachers into a corner where they have to create items to use, but there should be this gradual process. I also have to think about what that device can do. I'm a huge believer in digital publishing. I think that's the #1 thing you can do for your students. John Smith, who I link below, does some great talks on digital publishing and the idea of authentic audience and what that means when your kids aren't creating for you. But if I want kids publishing digitally, what does that mean? To me, it always meant a blog. Typed words, okay? Essays on a screen. To our students right now, when I make this film, it means Snapchat, it means multimedia, it means YouTube, which is why, I'm trying to extend what I do and what I know and do some of these moto vlogs, try to break into that world of video editing and deliver a message a little bit differently. So whether you're a tech director, an administrator, or just a classroom teacher, and you're tasked with one-to-one, those are just some things to think about and to take into consideration. And always remember, it's a long-term goal. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a week. It's foolish to think it will. It's foolish to tell the public that it will. You have to allow people to create and expand and do what they can when they can. Good luck. As always, leave comments. Go visit the site. Follow me on Twitter at ProfessorMike1. That's the number 1. And I will see you next time.